I'm not having luck bringing it.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. All right, first thing on the agenda is minutes from February 15th. Do you have a chance to look at that, Dan? Like that, right?
You don't like that Zoom. I already did. Scott don't like it either. so.
No.
You want me to make a
Just takes a
motion?
minute.
Yeah, why don't you make a
I'll
motion?
make a motion, we accept the minutes as written. Have you read them, Dan? Hello, Dan.
I have not. I haven't seen them.
So.
Yeah, I'm here, guys, but this is so spotty. I'm not sure it's gonna work. I have not read the minutes. Haven't seen them.
Well, we didn't find any mistakes.
Good, and you? Okay,
All in favor?
look, I will tell you right now, I'm hearing about one of every 100 words.
No place to sign them.
Time out for just a second. Can you guys hear me?
Yes.
Yes. Can now.
Time
I got two right there.
Oh, all right.
All right, so it's so spotty that it's paused most of the time. I can't even hear what the meeting is doing.
Try calling it. Yeah. Try calling it instead of.
Can you just do it audio on the phone?
It's gotta be on the phone, I would think.
I can try, Mike. I mean, we can keep going, and if I have to, so basically, if I cancel out of the meeting, it's because I'm not hearing any of it, and I might as well be driving. So I'm gonna give it a bit longer. If it's not working, I'll trust the town's in good hands.
There are people laughing.
Heard that.
All right, then, we'll take your advice and move on. So, next thing on the
Whatever advice it was, have fun with it. Yeah.
is the water and sewer report, but we're gonna go with the library first. Library had a
Oh, good.
a request.
Well, I'm actually here on behalf of friends of the library,
Okay,
and to ask not for money, but for permission. We had a very successful annual fund appeal, and we would like to take some of the money that you donated to us, and subject to the approval of our membership, make some improvements to the library grounds. One of the things we'd like to have done is to hire someone to prune that big tree on the library lawn.
okay.
It's overarching, it needs some attention. So we'll get a quote, take care of that. We would like to plant an herb garden that would be a small herb garden that would be for educational purposes, something that would allow community members to snip a piece of basil.
Where is that gonna be?
Well, that's at a location to be determined, and
Okay.
the size of it and the specs, but it would be small.
Okay.
It's not gonna cover the whole lawn, and perhaps a raised bed, a small raised bed. All of this will be paid for by the Friends. There's a new book drop that's contemplated. The location of the book drop may be changed a bit from where it currently is. We'd like to think about where that should be, but it will be a new state-of-the-art book drop. We'd like to either repair or replace that town crier bulletin board.
Okay.
It's there, it's pretty ratty looking, and it's on its last legs, I think. The other thing is that Judy and Larry LeBrie have volunteered to construct a fixture that would go at the beach at the little town library. And we've got the specs, and so we need permission to,
Now, where would that go on the museum?
well,
or the bathhouse?
No, it will go probably near where the bike rack is,
Okay,
definitely out of the way of.
so is it gonna go on
snowplows.
like a post or something, or?
Yes. I'm sorry, I didn't bring a lot of books.
Oh, okay. Hmm.
Vandals would be my only concern up there.
Yeah, but the police check the buildings anyways.
Okay.
In theory.
Be
Yeah.
aware of setbacks for the fire hydrant.
And you'll maintain that?
Yes. The one that is on the, near the Methodist church is quite heavily used.
Yeah,
So, Judy was very interested in doing that. She has been a children's librarian, and it would be a benefit to the kids who are using the beach, and just keep it out of the way of the boats and out of the way of the snow.
Focus that camera.
We'd like to get a new bench. The metal bench that's there is pretty ratty looking, and in fact, Barbara Bickle spoke to the Lions Club, who are willing to donate a Trex bench to go on the library lawn, so that's terrific.
Is that the one around the tree?
No, there's a metal bench up by the side of the steps going up the library.
Oh, okay, all right, yeah, okay.
It's
Sort of by
really
the
in
fire.
Yeah.
bad shape. You would be afraid to sit.
It's New England.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, and we would like to, in the conference room downstairs, in the library basement, install a monitor like that on the wall so that Zoom meetings could be conducted and seen and heard better than we are currently able to do. And we would donate that equipment to the library, and it could be used for showing movies or other community organizations that wanted to conduct offsite meetings. So that's the request.
Good.
One thing I have concern about is the raised bed.
Mhm.
It was a number of years ago across the street by the restaurant, the Asian restaurant. Some people decided they'd put a raised bed up and down the blocks, and we said no.
Okay,
That would be my concern. And
and no,
yeah, if we say no to them and then yes to you, that would be a concern. Not that I'm against
no,
a garden for the kids, is give them something to do. Bob?
Oh, I think the difference would be that they're asking permission. He didn't even ask permission to do that.
Well, that might be
I-
also the plowing. And I think that's why we really were upset about the bed across the street.
perhaps.
It really made it hard for you to plow the sidewalks and then to plow the roads too. There's not a lot of distance, but if you put it back
Yeah.
where it's not gonna interfere with Bob and plowing the yard, it would work better.
So what we're saying is generally it's okay, but
Yeah,
we will
yeah,
come back.
yeah, take a look at it and,
After the snow
and talk with
meetings,
Bob.
and we talk to Gary, Pamela is gonna help us.
Yeah,
Well, if you come back next meeting, you don't have to worry about his opinion anyway.
Oh.
See? Dog.
And I guess the
Yeah.
other thing I would say, this isn't something the president paid for, but I'm aware that there's money in the budget for painting the library building. And on candidates night, the other night, there was a number of comments about sprucing up the downtown. And I think it's important, and I think it would be wonderful to go forward with that painting, make sure that that building that's surrounding shine.
we had an issue with painting it because Dan was the one that did it, and that's a conflict of interest. And we haven't had anybody else that I know of.
We haven't put it back out to bid.
Put it back
We
out.
had a
Yeah,
guy
has there been an
that
RFP
Dan
on it?
gave us that from Windsor, I think, that was,
Oh, yeah.
but he
Yeah,
hasn't responded.
and keep in mind, Dan only painted just part of the back of that building. I don't want my name associated with that peeling mess. I only painted just the part of the back that's not peeling still. Mhm.
Dan, do you have any problems with the proposal from the library?
No, not at all. I happened to be in the office the other day when Cindy was in there and sat in on the conversation a bit. You know, the raised herb garden, I think that's probably going to be tucked up, you know, towards the building enough so it shouldn't be an issue. But yeah, I don't have a problem with it. I think it sounds like a good idea.
Right, yeah, I think it's a go.
All right, thank you.
Yep.
We don't need a motion for that since we're not spending any money.
Perfect. Makes it even better.
All right, water and sewer report.
Water and sewer report?
Yeah,
Is
that's you.
I know that, yeah. Is that, is it parentheses new? Does it say new?
Yeah, I thought you were gonna say something generally about water and
Oh,
sewer.
okay, all right, all right. I talked to Mike today, Mike Duffy, and they're getting everything ready to go out to bid before the end of March. We're gonna have a pre-bid meeting. We're gonna bring the contractors to look at everything. I'd like probably one or two of the selectmen to go along with me. As we're doing the process to intermingle with the contractors. It'll probably go out to bid mid-April, with bids coming in probably by the end of April, early May. And right now, we're ahead of schedule from where we are. We're about to apply for the wetlands permit. I have to get a wetlands permit for a 1/4 inch of pipe to be laying on the ground. You know, I told them I could let the pipe out of the ground, but that's all we're doing when we go to the wetlands. So it's that 2-inch pipe that goes from the lake all the way back to the water plant.
And that's a temporary.
That's temporary.
Yeah.
Yeah, and so basically, it's called a temporary impact. So it's a 1/4 inch to the bottom of the 2-inch pipe. So we're actually applying for the wetlands permit for.
Have we spoke with any contractors yet? Do we know who we're going to put these bid packages, these RFPs out to?
Yes, we already had 2 that were already interested, Ted Berry out of Maine, and then the Osgood Corporation over in Claremont. Osgood's were the people that built the track.
Sure.
And they're very familiar. Osgood's been there twice. Ted Berry's been here 3 separate times, and there's 2 other contractors that have already contacted Mike. So we're going in early in the process. I think we're gonna get better bids. I think if we went June, July, it's gonna be a problem, because there's gonna be a lot coming out this summer. Because of all the money that's out there, although the money's come out slow. So a lot of people, you have to do the engineering, and we're ahead of the game in terms of the process.
It might be hard to get anyone at all if we wait that long. The only thing I would say on that is it's a pretty extensive bid package that they're gonna have to return to us. I don't know that 2 weeks is enough. I mean, I guess we could start there, but that's just my initial thought on that. We may need to give the contractors a little longer, 3 to 4 weeks.
Has the bid package on his desk, I think. Do you have it on your desk? Did Mike Duffy leave it with you?
No, but I got an email with a bunch of stuff in it, but
Yeah.
the biggest issue is gonna be the statement of qualifications.
Yeah, exactly. It's not that big a bid package.
Okay,
I mean, basically, it's from the dig point to the lake and from the dig point back to the water plant. So I mean, that's how he's broken it up into 2 parts. And that's all they're bidding on. So it's not too extravagant in terms of what's going on.
Are they bidding on both parts at the same time?
Yeah, they're gonna bid on both parts at the same
So
time.
the whole thing?
Yeah.
Down to the plant.
Oh, yeah, they're gonna do it right to the plant. From the intake all the way to the plant.
And there aren't that many components in it anyway. It's not like you got,
who is supplying the materials? I guess that's one question I have yet to ask, and it's just coming to mind now. So I'd rather ask it than just not say anything. Is the town supplying all the materials and the contractor just doing the work? Or is the contractor supplying everything that needs to be?
The 2-inch pipe they're allowing me to install,
Okay,
trying to get the state to allow us to pre-buy the 4-inch. Especially with the oil prices going through the roof.
Yeah.
The HTP is made from oil and black carbon. So
Right.
right now, the price is gonna really ramp up depending on where we end up.
so anything that we can purchase ourselves, that puts it in ours/your hands, John, so you can double check that everything is the correct material we need. What it also does is it eliminates that contractor charging us a percentage for them having to go get all of the materials needed. So just a thought on this end.
So the thing that we're running into is, it may not be there in June or July.
Sure, right.
If we order in April, May, or the end of March, we'll be able to get it. Right now, it's out 18 weeks.
Yep.
And
Okay.
get it every 2 weeks to find out where we are. And then
Okay.
keep going up. So I mean, it's probably went up another 15% today.
Oh yeah, everything is, and it's not gonna go the other way, so sooner we can buy them, the better, or get them ordered at least.
Yeah, it comes in 40-foot sections on a tractor trailer truck.
Okay.
So we
Nice.
probably store it up at the wastewater treatment plant until we use it.
And how would you get it down there?
And then, well, that's the thing, it's hard because we don't have a 40-foot trailer.
Yeah.
We used to use buses, believe it or not. The bus is the best place to do it. The bus is 40 feet long. So you open the back of the bus and you just hold the pipe in.
Buses need something to do with this.
You know what?
I'm sure there's enough people in town with the equipment. We can figure something out, hopefully, right, Scott? We can get a hold of someone.
Hopefully.
Yeah.
All right, anything else, John?
I came in with the new, I'm requesting to get a used truck.
Yeah, I know, that's next on the list.
Oh, okay, that's all right. All right.
So go ahead.
All right, so right now I have just under 300,000 miles on the Chevy or the GMC.
Yeah.
And Sierra, and right now it's not really worth to put the money back into it. Right, I need something that's gonna take me another 4 or 5 years, and for all the things that we'll be doing in the projects. That's what I'm requesting. Now, I'm requesting it to come out of the septage reserve fund. We have a reserve fund that's a little over $115,000 in this septic reserve fund. And I'm looking for anything from $8,000 to $15,000, not to exceed $15,000.
Not if you're looking for something to last you another 5 years or not.
Yeah, well, hopefully it's gonna last me.
No.
I pointed out that is the same fund that's, we're already committing to the water project. So if we take it out, I'm not saying we shouldn't. I'm just saying if we take it out, that will reduce how much we got available for the project.
Bob, what did you have a rough idea of what they were gonna offer you for a trade-in on your truck?
25.
Bob getting a better deal down with Banks, right?
No.
Yeah, but
Well, I mean, it's better for him to turn it in because the values of those trucks are so high now. There's no sense.
yeah, but the value of a used truck's just as high. So we're gonna trade in a $25,000 truck. They should be giving us 34, and then we're gonna go and spend a $15,000 truck that's not worth $7,500. So
Yeah.
maybe we consider keeping Bob's truck if we're in a bind instead of getting rid of one. All it does is put the money from the left pocket to the right. No, am I missing something?
I tend to agree with you, Dan. If the truck is in fair shape, and Bob will know that.
Yeah.
Trading in, we just keep it, put the tank on that.
It's been maintained. I mean, it's a good truck.
We know what it is.
Yep.
And that,
We don't have enough money. I'm just pointing out, we don't have enough money to complete phase 1 of the project. Unless we take what's in the account and spend it. So I've told John and hopefully he's told Michael that if we're gonna spend it, you gotta find it someplace because it's not in the budget. I'm okay with spending it, don't get me wrong, but there has to be, it's not like I don't deal with these issues, it seems like daily, but we need every nickel it's 172,000 that was in the account. We need all that money with the,
But how does that affect if he takes Bob's truck?
do we have to give credit back to Bob on the purchase?
well, it depends on
I don't,
the dealer is. Sometimes you pay cash for them and no trade.
If we don't have to give,
The price that I got is a cash deal, but they're taking the truck at trade. There's 25 grand for the truck. That's been accounted to in the workings of buying that truck.
Okay, so that's already a done
So
deal.
it's already a done deal.
so when we talked, you were gonna reduce the cost of the truck and leave the money in the capital reserve for the highway equipment. What would happen if John kept the truck? We take the full shot out of the highway equipment capital reserve.
Let me look at it now. see where I'm
Okay,
at.
so
That's
can-
putting me over.
Yes.
If he's about,
It'd be greater than the guy.
I just want us to understand that we gotta cover the costs.
Absolutely.
All right, why don't you let us know?
yeah, I can look at it now, see where the numbers are at.
But just get, so everybody's on the same page. So whatever you think is happening ought to be what you think is happening, and ought to be enough to leave the money in the account so we can actually do the main idea here, which is to get the water project done when we have the cash. And we have to have a minimum, I think, in the first phase of like $550,000. So we got a total of 204 plus 150, so that's 354 plus 172, 454, 524. So we don't even have enough right now to cover phase one, which is to get it to the plant. If we take 25 away from that, now we have a shortfall of $50,000 or $60,000. So we have to find how to cover it. If in fact you don't have to pay Bob for the 25, then you probably can pull it off
So
easily.
you're gonna take that out of the CIP?
But that's the point. If you take it out of the CIP, yes, you would take it out of the CIP. It wouldn't come out of your budget, but it would come out of CIP funds. So you gotta talk that, both of you talk about it.
How many miles on that truck you're trading in, Bob?
I'll take the first one.
How many?
4,000.
On a diesel, it's just broke in.
Yeah.
Oh, it is gas?
Yeah.
Oh,
On the other hand, he's also gonna pay a long dollar on the used market because
Right. They're gonna take that truck, and if, so we could trade that truck in and walk back on the lot the next day, and it's gonna be 15 to 20,000 more than they give us for it. But
All right,
do you need the truck before 2 weeks from now? Why don't you work it
Right.
up between the two of you and see what you can come up with?
that was my thought too, Mike. It doesn't have to happen tomorrow, right? We just gotta start the process. Good call.
And I think the consensus is you need a new truck.
Yeah,
all right, next thing on the agenda is the Buckwald variance finding.
Okay, so you have a copy of what's been proposed for a decision. And I've reviewed this with town council and also with John Bergeron. And there is consensus with all the parties that the easiest, quickest way is to affirm the initial decision. That in fact, under the zoning ordinance, the 2008 zoning ordinance, the thing that has to be met in order to grant the permit for the construction of the house, and put all this in, Roger, if you can, in order to make sure that the house is legally constructed, there has to be a decision that that construction is consistent with the ordinance. In order to be consistent with the ordinance, it can't impact adversely the flow of floodwaters. And the house at finished grade of the slab is going to be 1 inch above what's known as the base flood elevation, which is good enough. And Scott Sanborn also calculated the impacts, and the impacts is like 1/1000% of the area that's impacted. So it really is a de minimis or minimal impact. And so this paper, which is short and sweet, 1 page, says the decision is affirmed
Okay,
based on what I just said, basically.
Wonderful.
Is that-
There was a
is that okay?
we got 2 thumbs up.
Okay, just so you know, on the last issue about the truck, Jason Hurley wants to say, what if we keep Bob's truck for another year and get John a truck? Just one more comment to throw in there to the guys.
well,
Oh, that's a
Can't get it
discussion
out.
that
Can't get a,
John
can't get
and
a
Bob
John,
need to have.
yeah, but we can't get a John truck out of a Bob account.
No, exactly.
So we'd have to take it out of water or sewer. We're gonna take it. And
all
Okay,
right,
sorry to interrupt him.
Yep, thank you.
I missed the.
all right,
question.
so the application is approved and,
yeah, and you don't have to do anything. You know,
No.
it might go to you if there was a variance needed,
yeah.
but it doesn't. So just as long as the minutes reflect that I've stated the reasons why, and I'll send you
Yep.
the paperwork, Roger. So you can look at it.
All
You
right,
okay with that, Dan?
I got it.
I am, yep. I actually, I spoke with, Mike a little bit this past week and was under that same understanding. So as long as, Phil and Jillian, are on board with everything, everything seems like it's a go, right?
you guys good?
Yep.
Good. All right,
Perfect. Thank you, Mike, for your work on it. Thanks, Phil and Jillian, for your patience.
It's Ken.
all right.
I'm sorry, I'll get the name right eventually. I said, I'm sorry, I'll get the name right eventually.
Emergency operations grant.
Every 5 years, we have to have a new study done for emergency preparedness. One is a emergency operations plan, so what happens no matter what the emergency is, except for a nuclear attack, which we at least have started looking at and actually have a plan. Hopefully, we'll never use it. So in any event, that this year, we have to have a hazard mitigation plan. So it looks at all the possible emergency situations and develops a mitigation plan, and that goes into about a 100-page book. Has to be approved by the state, has to be approved by you. Requires, I don't know, about 300 hours of work from a variety of town employees in order to put it together. This grant picks up something like 3/4 of the cost of the program. No, 20%, 80% of the cost of the program, and the rest is paid by the town in the form of hours. In other words, the staff works on it. So I need to have a motion that says the following. This is a good one, Roger. See if I get this right. And we've had problems with this ever since I've been here, getting the wording exactly right. They say to follow the sample. Of course, they've never, ever given us a sample. And I bitched about it this year, but this is what the minutes have to reflect. That you, the governing authority of the town, have accepted and approved the grant and agreement, which you got. You have to say that the community is accepting this agreement on the terms as presented, which is the 4 or 5 pages, which require initials at the bottom. Okay. And you have to comply with any public meeting requirement for the acceptance of this grant, which we have done. This will be a motion to accept the grant if you make the motion. And to use the grant for the purposes identified. And this is what they have to be. It is for, as it says up at the top, to prepare a local hazard mitigation plan update. That's the purpose. The total cost is on page, last page. Total cost is $10,000, of which the grant is $7,500. 3/4. So you're accepting a grant to $7,500. And furthermore, that the local match, 25% is $2,500. And the $2,500 will be contributed in the form of slave labor by town employees to prepare the hazard mitigation plan. So it has to be in the minutes, all the things I just said.
Even the.
Including the slave labor part? Or should we
Yeah, I
leave
was
that?
gonna say, do we have to put that in?
Well,
there?
my somewhat warped sense of humor says yes, including the slave labor, but probably we ought not to.
I'm thinking,
All right, so can we get a motion?
I'll make that motion.
I will second the motion.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye, Captain.
All right, next thing is the CDL grace period licensing. I believe that's what you wanted to talk about, Dan?
Yeah, I just wanted to touch base on it. So basically, the long and short of it is, that's what I've been talking about for a year. Well, the transfer station, and then for the last several months, I've been talking about the fact that the CDL ability to get your CDL was going to change, and it did. And long and short of it, I was hoping that we would be a little bit more prepared, but we haven't done. I don't think, unless I missed something, we haven't done anything to start preparing for it. And then last week, we had an incident with the transfer station employee that drives the truck, and we were all left scrambling like pretty hard. And scramble as we may, we found, I think, one person that might have been available on a one-time basis, maybe to drive the truck to Maine. So this is, I guess my point is, we've known about this for a long time. I've mentioned it, and then when it actually, we don't do anything to prepare for it. And then when it happens, we're scrambling, and we were going to have, thankfully, JR is able to drive the truck, but if he wasn't, we'd have to be spending more money to pay people on a per diem basis to drive that truck, anyone we could find at a time, until we were able to figure out how to get some of our town employees licensed. So my request would be that we figure out how to get some of our town employees with the proper certifications to drive the equipment that we have in town, and more than just one person.
I agree with you, Dan. The only concern I have is the town paying for this?
So Dave, I'll tell you, so we could have done it before February 7th, would have cost very minimal amount of money.
But even
After
now,
February
how
7th,
are we gonna pay for these CDL licenses?
Right, so right now we have a little bit of a sweet spot because the federal government realized, I think, that this is going to cripple the trucking industry. So they've given the state of New Hampshire is one of some of the states in the country that got a 2-month extension.
Good.
So, and we're probably 2 or 3 weeks into that. So we might have 4 or 5 weeks, but the thing to keep in mind is you just need to get your permit under this process, and it grandfathers you in for 6 months, and then you can extend it again for another 6 months. So if we could get whoever is willing to, wants to, who should be certified with this, then that gives us a little buffer without having to spend all that money. You know what I mean, Dave? Like, they've given us a little bit of a break here. We should take it.
Let me back up a little bit.
Yeah.
If the town is going to pay for it, and I don't have a problem with that.
Yeah.
but If we have, say there's, pick a number, four people want to get a CDL.
Yeah.
That do not have it now. I would be concerned that we would pay for it and then they're gone next week. So like any school that we pay for, whether it be the police or the emergency crew, if we pay for it, I would want something in writing by the person, signed by the person that got the CDL and the town paid for it, that they stayed with the town for 3 years.
Yeah, we can
So
do
the
that.
town can recoup its money back.
Or reimbursement.
Or reimburse, prorated, if they leave in a year, then you're going to pay 2/3 of it back.
And I think I'm in agreement. I think we should be able to figure out something that works in the best interest of everybody. Something to keep in mind though, you take that number of 4 people, right? Right now, we could get all of those 4 people licensed and through the complete class for about the same amount of money it was going to cost us to have a per diem driver haul the truck twice.
Oh, yeah, I agree with you.
Right.
I'm not opposed to it, Dan, at all. I
Yeah.
just think we need just a piece of paper, an agreement between the town and the employee that's getting the CDL, that they don't just get the CDL and say arrivederci.
I agree. And I think it would probably, that also leans towards why we should do it sooner than later. If you're thinking about this from the employee's point of view, right? So
Yeah.
right now they can do that for $150 or $200. A year and a half from now, things change in their world. People pass away. They got to move across country. They got to leave. It's a lot easier for them to give us $200 because they got in a bind than $7 grand.
Yeah, I agree with you.
Right.
How can we get it done?
Yeah. Okay.
All right.
That's really what I had on the whole thing.
Okay,
There's an online comment.
yeah,
Go ahead, Derek.
Derek?
He has to unmute. Unmute yourself.
Oh, sorry, technical difficulties.
No worries.
I agree with Dan. I think it's pertinent to get those people in there and through the class. And I think we might be shooting ourselves in the foot if we don't do it, and if it's at the expense of making them sign a contract to that. state something to that.
Thank you, Derek. Yeah. And I think we're all pretty much on the same page with it. It's just, I think it kind of snuck up on us, I've been saying it was coming, but we got a lot of stuff going on. I always say that. So I don't want to make this sound, nasty. It's just, it should be a positive. Now we know it. We had a wake up call last week. Now let's go ahead and get the gears in motion. So that works for me. If it works for you guys, and I don't know,
It's good.
Bob, do you want to get together at some point? Do you want to talk with your guys and make your own list? I mean, what other department should we branch out to? I don't know.
Talk to emergency management, and they have 3 or 4 that might be interested in fire primarily, but 1 in ambulance.
And now they're interested in getting their CDL, but do they know they have to be interested in driving that truck to Portland, Maine? too?
That's what I wanted. I had my hand up to ask that question. Is this conditioned on staying with the town, or is it conditioned on staying with the town and driving the trash truck? And if it is, it's got to be at least a CDLA.
So, right. So it's got to be, this is the TH, tractor trailer, TT. It's the biggest CDL. Well, no, I shouldn't say that. There's hazmats and endorsements you get, but whoever does this is going to have to get a tractor trailer CDLA. And so with that said, this might be a good time for me to say, I wonder if there's a better time than this to revise the fact that maybe we should go back to roll-offs. I'm not trying to just slide one in there, but I know, Mike, you said that last week. I mean, there has to be a time where you take how much money you're going to spend to pay all these people to get CDLs, who's going to come and go, whether the person will sign a contract, all the above, with the fact of just going back to a general idea that we have people here that can drive it already.
Yeah, well, not to belabor the point, but if we're going to do tandems, then it's going to have to be a CDLA combo.
Right. Which is a lot. So that's what I have. I have a CDLA combination. Huh?
A CDLA combo.
Well, there's a difference too. If you were gonna do roll-offs and do a tandem, it would be with a pencil, and it's easier to get a pencil than it is with regular tractor trailers.
And the other comment is that the game plan for at least the last 2 years is to have a combination position for water, sewer, and transfer station, and require a CDLA for that job that specifically would be used for trash. And we're not going to hire that in the next 2 weeks.
So, right, exactly. So that's the thing. We've been needing that for a couple years. I think maybe we can get, we better give ourselves a little contingency plan, Mike, because we run into a bind like we were last week. We're in trouble, my friend.
Yeah, I'm not opposed to the idea. Don't get me wrong. I think it does
Sure.
make sense to make sure that anybody that wants to have a CDLA that's currently in the enterprise, that we take advantage of it. It's not a huge amount of money. So I think it makes sense that anybody who is, whether it's ambulance or fire or highway or John.
Right. That
we
wouldn't hurt my feelings. The
we-
department head.
Get it taken care of now. But I don't know that it's going to solve any problems on the transfer station.
So I would have one other thing I wanted to say real quick. I spoke about this at the highway department the other day. I was over there. We were doing some brainstorming. This is one of the things that I came out with, but and listen, I know that it's not just a one-man show here. So I'm not trying to say that, but I want you to be aware of what I said at the highway garage. And what I said at the highway garage is, if you're not willing to step up to the plate now, when it's only going to cost us between $100 and $200, don't come asking me for more money when the guy I got to hire with a Class A CDL is making more than you are. So, either step up to the plate, go get your certifications, and get where we need to be for a town employee, but don't come knocking on my door when the guy I got to hire with a CDLA is making more money than you.
Fair enough.
Fair enough. Yep.
You have a consensus yet?
Yep. Oh, I agree.
So
Okay.
it's anybody who wants the CDL that's currently working for the town to take advantage of the program, they got to do it within the next couple of
Right,
weeks.
yeah, we're gonna have to step it up.
And have to have a 3-year.
Did I miss anything anywhere?
The question.
Yep, Mike Hutchinson is asking, can you ask to see if the town has a tractor and trailer that would qualify for an A license? that will cost more for the town of
We-
not. I
We
think.
do have a tractor trailer that qualifies for an A license.
So Mike, we do not.
Oh, you mean in terms of being able to take the exam on it?
Right, we do not.
That's correct, but do we have one that requires one? Yes.
Yes. Right, I'm sorry. Yes.
But we can also do that qualification a different way too.
Right. I mean, we can,
We don't
there's a
need
whole
to
lot of
use any
pieces to
truck.
the puzzle. What's that, Mike?
I said, we don't need to use our truck and trailer.
Exactly.
If
Right.
we're gonna do anything, probably when we get the new one, use the new one and somebody else's trailer. I mean, somebody else's truck.
Right.
But
Yeah.
in any event, that's,
Do we have the new trailer on order yet?
yes, it's been on order with a purchase order since December.
That's all right. That's what I thought. That's gonna be a tough one, man.
My own.
Oh,
Would you want to put it on the flash newsletter that we were offering a special deal or no?
well, no, we're gonna try and keep it in-house for right
In-house,
now.
Okay.
Yeah.
So-
But
That
I wanted
offers
to try
for-
and,
For people that are already employed.
Yeah,
Well, wait a minute. How about if we did this? We could put in a flash if you currently have a CDL license and you want to upgrade, and if you
work for us.
work for us as needed with a CDLA, we would front the money for you to go get the license.
That would be an agreement signed by them.
Same thing, same as the employees agreement.
You're talking about if they already work for the town, right?
No,
if they don't-
actually, if they, let's say that somebody's got a B and they want to get an A license. If they wanted to get an A license, we go for the A license, provided they make the commitment of 3 years or whatever to work for the town. Either with the A or B license or whatever license they got, as long as it's something that's useful to us. And if they don't, if they leave it and they refuse it, then they gotta reimburse us.
so this person would be on standby,
Stand by.
on call type thing.
I'm just wondering if it's a way to get a new employee that we need.
Right. I guess it's initially that doesn't sound like a bad option. I worry about it getting confusing at the end of the day, but I think we have to worry about the end of the day then, I guess.
Okay,
You-
I don't care either way, I'm just asking. a
I
question.
think we ought to go in-house first
I agree.
Me
with
too.
you.
and,
Okay.
and take it from
And see
there.
how it works out.
And probably, I don't see a bunch of people.
There may be 5 or 6 total maximum.
Require selectmen of a CDL.
I was gonna say, I don't see a ton of people jumping up and down to do it anyway. So if we could get 4 to 5 people, it might be helpful.
All right,
Thank you. Perfect.
next thing is the deed for the Red Wagon Bakery.
Okay, y'all have a picture of the deed that's being approved next Monday night at 6:45. There really isn't anything contesting it, and it's for 2,000 square feet, and it's 5/10 of an acre. No, 5/100 of an acre.
That's at the planning board?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's a minor boundary adjustment. It's the thing that says parcel A over on the left-hand side. And it's just to let you know, once that's done, we already have an agreement to sell that property. I think it's 11/5 or 11, I'm not sure which, but so there is an agreement with Red Wagon selling that parcel of land.
Okay, good.
I,
Put in a fund,
That goes into the community center fund.
center fund, yeah.
The balance of the property is 0.38 acres. And Sanborn, based on our conversations last year, is coming up with a half-acre lot. And if you look at the bottom of the map, see how it's got jagged sides. So squaring that lot off, it comes out to about 0.5 acres. And he's preparing that now as a map for sale of the balance of that property.
I'd like to add just one thing. And so I have realized over the last month or so here, I've come to realize that somehow the talk about the community center and the cozy corner and Williams Field and the property behind the log cabins door. I think the intent I was shooting for kind of got misconstrued. And I think it's important that everybody knows when I talk about the community center being at the Cozy Corner property, I'm actually talking about incorporating that property into the Williams Field and making it all one big property that has been surveyed and had layouts done, and we changed the landscape of the property there. So I don't need to get into a big community center discussion unless anybody wants to, but I want everyone to be aware that that is my intention. I don't mean pluck that little tiny building up and build a 10-story building so we got enough room on that little footprint. I mean incorporate that land into the grand scheme of things and rework everything as a whole. All right, said my piece.
I'd just like to point out one thing that, in my opinion, the community center is not right off. It's
No, I don't see it happening
on the road.
anytime soon, to be honest with
We
you, Dave.
start
But
building, we better have the money.
we don't have enough money to get people CDL licenses. How are we gonna build a community?
Well, that's the idea of selling this property is to start that fund. If you don't start, you'll never get it done. But
Sell the log cabin, start the fund there.
community center in the next 3, maybe 5 years.
I see you,
But
Roger.
you have to start somewhere.
Mike, is
Right.
that?
They're all the possibles are, but the question is whether it's in floodway or floodplain. That's
Okay,
in the
that's why I'm
floodplain.
differentiating. That's
As
why I
long-
asked.
Yeah, so hang on a second.
Yeah.
Does anybody online want to see the map or not? If I can share it if anybody wants to see it. Just text or send a chat or something, or raise your hand to share it, so I know whether to bother or not.
And Roger, were you raising your hand or were you adjusting the light?
I was adjusting the light.
Okay, thank
Good
you.
call, Sharon. I saw that too.
While I'm on, did they table the minutes or vote with an abstention?
What was it? Quentin?
No, we voted on the minutes.
Yeah, we'll vote with an abstention, Roger. Good call. Thank you.
One abstention on the minutes.
Okay,
Dan.
got it. Okay, I'm assuming nobody cares about looking at the map. Is that right?
Ellie had a problem.
Okay, yes.
Yes.
Oh, good point. So no, they don't have to approve the sale because that is under the state law is up to the Board of Selectmen. The only one that has a requirement is the Davis one. This isn't the Davis one. Okay,
You have to have approval to buy property.
no,
Good question, Ellie. Thank you.
Just one lot right next to. Yes,
it's half.
yeah. Yeah.
So she's gonna have one bigger piece and one smaller piece. Is that how it works? You take it part of it.
There's maps right there.
I can see 'em.
Yeah.
I'm not really sure I wasn't at
All right. Can you see the screen, Ellie?
Ellie, look at the screen.
So she's wondering what part of the parking lot we sold.
All
that
right,
wagon. Is
yeah.
that the
So
question?
this lot goes from this point to this point to this point to this point, up and over. That's one single lot. And of that lot, the piece that's being sold to Red Wagon is this from this point to this point to this one to this one. So it's less than a half of this total lot. This is a separate discrete lot. The whole thing.
Ellie, you know where everyone usually parks when they go to the Red Wagon? That's what we sold them.
Essentially, like where the pull-in is closest to.
I'll share. As soon as I figure out how to share. Okay.
No, we have our own flower.
Oh,
Oh, okay, all right. That was just like, because they got, because I, there was like this here, they are TV for practice, down so in the corner. If there's no like down, you don't really know which one is which.
No.
Well, that's kind of why we want to build it, in case they do put a community center in at some point. All right, so you, so I'm still not sure
No.
No.
The chair looks lonely beside you, Scott. Don't rub any more of your hair off.
Shoulder the whole time.
Where are we? Time to call, move, this is on for, you already approved all this,
Yeah, I know.
so it's just information.
Just answering a question.
Yeah, just-
It's already a done deal.
So I'm gonna take this down unless somebody has another question.
Nope.
Nobody wanted it up there. I don't think.
No.
All right.
I'm getting rid of it.
You all set, Ellie? All right.
Be careful. Careful. No.
No.
Let me do it. Thank you.
The other thing I had, but I found it on the map that clears that up is that there's a route that Scott wrote to the planning board because access to water and sewer, and since I lived here many, many years, I noticed there was a water hookup to each of those two empty lots, but there was never any sewer. So there was no septic tank there, so I think access might be a different thing. You know what I'm saying? And if you want sewer in the long line, you have to get a septic tank and a line and all of that. And the water lines are probably so low, you probably have to start over anyway. But there's never been septic service, either one of those lots,
Okay.
because it was put in after the building was torn down.
All right, moving on to other business. Bob, I'm gonna call on you in a minute.
Did you ever want to do budget versus actual?
Yeah, we could do that in a second, but
Okay.
before, just in case, before we lose Dan. Dan, are you gonna be in town on the 8th?
Yes, I am. I
we gotta-
changed.
We gotta
Nope.
plan a schedule as to who's gonna be at the voting. So we usually break it up into 3 shifts. And David usually takes the last shift and I usually take the second shift. So are you up for the first shift, which is 8 to 11:30?
I'm not sure it's the best idea in case I'm stuck in traffic somewhere and can't get home I'm planning on rolling in the middle of the night. So, I mean, I could be there. I don't have a problem with staying awake, but what happens if I get jammed up, you know?
So what time do you want? You want the second?
I was gonna see if I could do the third one, but I'll take anyone but the first. How's that?
Okay. All right, we'll put you down for the third shift. What do you want to do?
I'll do the first one.
All right, and I'll do second.
So what time does the third shift start?
3:30.
Okay. Fair enough. Thank you, guys. I appreciate it.
Yeah, did you have something, you wanted to do budget versus actual real quick?
I also want to do the fire department job description.
Okay, I thought we were gonna do that in non-public.
Okay, I'm sure. Gotta prove it.
Yeah.
Yep. When you come out. Okay, budget versus actual. It's early in the year. Now I gotta go on share. This would be good if I actually find it.
If you click that, you'll be able to find it. Now go down and it's actually shared. It's over here. By this thing. Drag that over.
I want to get rid of this.
Except for there you go. Just be careful. You're not actually in the place where you're gonna get it, right?
Well, let me tell you what's going on. First of all, the budget's under control. It's supposed to be 84% left.
What do you want with this?
I want the one that says budget. Yep. Okey dokey. The only ones that have overspending is under executive miscellaneous. Is it shared? Yes.
No, it's not.
It's not. Okey dokey.
There we go. Do-
So stop share. So you don't want to stop share, do
Yeah,
you?
you do. And then you want to
Okay.
start the share. The budget.
Okay.
There you go.
Everybody see the budget? Let's start with that.
Now we can also the budget. You might want to make it a little bigger. It's up to you. You can see it here.
Close on. So we're supposed to be at 84%. The key thing, that's this number up here, the key thing to look at on this thing is water and sewers within 84%, ambulances within 84%. So everything is in pretty good shape in terms of the budget. There aren't many surprises. This is misposted. It's supposed to be down in another department. Going down through, really so far, there's nothing exciting. There is a savings under personnel administration. And that's on unemployment, where there's a credit that came back in to offset some of that cost. There is a number here unanticipated for recording fees. It usually is 1,000. Well, we've already spent 1,500 and we still haven't done all the lien work. And that's because of all the recording costs for deeds from the tax sales. And other than that, it's in pretty good shape. Unless anybody has any questions.
Any concern on the part-time police salaries?
No, there will be when we get to June. And Sam already knows it. It's his obligation to figure out what he wants to do.
And how about the recycle hauling?
That's higher than usual in recycling hauling, but that's also not unusual. Usually we'll have it anyway when there's a truck down. Well, we've had truck downs and we're swapping equipment around to get it back in shape. So, so far it's not a big deal. We're doing the repairs under the recycling budget. So we spent $1,500 in repairs, and we have $7,000 in the budget for those repairs, and we'll probably spend the whole thing to get all the equipment brought up to date. We're using Ironworks over on Shoat Road to do the repairs, and they've done 2 so far, and they've got more to go. The heating is on highway. That's a little high. Usually there would be at least half of this number left, and there isn't. There's only 1,500. Other than that, that's it. And it'll be online tomorrow. Or next time, Thursday when Sharon puts
Have you
it on.
used all the waste oil, Bob? Oh, yeah. Okay.
Mike, I noticed that under your, I think it was under town administrator, and then the next line under that,
Yeah,
what's up with,
well, this line up here
Dan can't.
is,
Dan's just on.
okay, so there's two yellow boxes, one under town administrator, one under executive. The town administrator one is because Gloria posted the expense for the municipal association under me, but it doesn't go there. There's a separate account down below that says New Hampshire Municipal Association. It's got $3,500 budgeted. So that's
Okay.
where it's supposed to be posted. So it's just an error.
Okay.
Miscellaneous up above, that is miscellaneous, and then we've had some extraordinary expenses. That's about the only place we could put it.
okay,
Shouldn't be
Understood.
ongoing. It's just we need a cubby to put it in.
yeah, need a home for it, okay.
Any questions on the budget?
The other one will be over on is miscellaneous on welfare. We've got a fire sale on for funerals.
Yeah,
All right, Bob, you're up. For transportation. Okay.
Where's the document?
Yes, go where it says transfer 221.
This one?
No, I'm sorry, kill that. Go back to that one. That way, if he wants to change the numbers, we can change them.
First, now we go back. We'll do this
Okay.
next time. And we gotta find out where our Zoom meeting went.
hey, Bob,
Yeah.
I do not have the paperwork with me. Do you have the same set of numbers that you have had for the last few weeks or whatever, or is there new ones?
Oh, I thought.
Those are the ones you're talking about tonight? Okay,
Those are the ones I plugged in,
Sorry.
and I sent you a copy of that, Dan.
yeah, and unfortunately, I can't open that and do this and that at the same time. Yeah. I can paint houses like no one else, but the computer, yeah.
Yeah, you
I'm
could,
thinking
you could
that-
paint a library like nobody else too.
Yeah, exactly, because nobody else is doing it. So you're right. Yeah. Yeah.
Okay. So what I did was I can change any of these assumptions you want. I really don't care. And whatever numbers you want to plug in, plug them in. So what I did was I made the following assumptions. It costs, and I'll give you an example, but it costs, this is what it does for a single roll off. It's $39 for fuel. If you want to see the formula, I've got the formula I can explain to you. Labor cost is $39.50. That's JR's rate. That's an hour. No, that's for the time necessary to take the box over. This is the truck and the box cost, and that's in another formula someplace else. It's more expensive to buy the truck and the box cost for a live floor than it is for a roll off. And it shows the difference here on a mile, this is the difference here. And this is the total trip cost for a roll off, total trip cost for the live floor. What Bob proposed was tandems. Right? Okay.
Tandem to go to Maine, correct?
Now I'm just doing trash first and I'll do recycling.
So are you talking a tandem for the trash, Bob, or just a single?
No, worth the time to take the tandem over to Lebanon. You can take a box when it's full and just take it over, dump it, come back.
Okay, so let's take that argument to begin with. I still want to start with trash. Tandem, a single box going to Lebanon, it's $10,860 a year. Live floor going to Lebanon is $7,100 a year. Tandem going to Lebanon is $9,700 a year. So under all of those three cases, it's a savings of $3,700 if you don't do the roll off. And it's a savings of $2,500 if you don't do the tandems. Now, the only difference on those costs is going to be the cost for the fuel, the labor, these three costs up here. So let's see what happens just for the sake of argument. And say it doesn't cost any more to haul twice as much load as a single roll-off. So we'll do 39. Still cheaper. What about the labor? There is no savings on the labor. The labor means the following. You have to take a roll-off, put the roll-off on the tandem trailer, take another roll-off, put the other roll-off on the truck if you've got a roll-off truck. Back the roll-off truck up, hook the tandem trailer to the roll-off truck, take it to the landfill, reverse the flow. Disconnect and discharge the one box and do the same thing with the other box. And usually you have to move it back and forth from the truck to the trailer to get it on the tandem, but there's various ways of doing it. So the bottom line is you're not going to save the labor costs. So what's the difference in the labor costs? I think this is based on 4 hours to do that entire process versus this one over here, which is 2 hours. So the price is 142, even assuming that there's no extra fuel. But the problem is, in one you're hauling a 10-ton box and the other one you're hauling 2 10 boxes. So
I don't know. It just doesn't, I guess I'd like to sit down in your office with you or something, Mike, so you can actually explain to me what you're talking about, because it doesn't
Okay.
make sense to me how there's the roll off up here is less, the tandem over here, but then the live floor is the one that,
I did the numbers, Dan. Anybody
I'm
wants
with you.
to come in the office, I'd welcome it. And I'll go through it in great detail. I'm gonna at least talk it through tonight. I've
Sure.
offered Bob to come in and put in any numbers you want to put in. Let's see what it is. I mean, the easiest answer is say, well, it's the same labor.
Yeah, but how about if we don't do the numbers and the formulas and the plugins and all of that? How about if we actually get the financial records from our financial department and we look at how many tons we have been hauling there, and then we look at the research that Bob did from the surrounding towns that use the roll-offs, and we look at how many tons they were. So we don't do theoretical, hypothetical numbers that we're just trying to plug in. We look at the actual numbers that we've been hauling, and we look at the actual numbers that the towns around us have been hauling with roll-offs, and we work with those numbers. Why aren't we just doing that? Am I missing something?
Yep, because we did that last May. I used all the exact numbers we used with Casella, with Motzkin, and we had a third company. So we had 3 different companies, and I used those exact numbers, and nobody liked those numbers. The truth of the matter is.
Hey, first of all, calm down. All right,
Okay,
because I'm not gonna argue with you about this. It's a discussion, Mike Sampson.
okay.
Relax.
Excuse me for answering the question. I want to answer it. That's fine.
You don't
So-
have to answer it like that.
Okay, the answer I gave was, I'm happy to meet with anybody at any time in the office.
Okay, so when I get back, I would like to have a discussion with you about how the numbers are adding up.
Sure.
Okay, cool enough.
All right, so now
Bob, would you like to be in on that discussion?
Yeah.
Okay, so I'll touch base.
do you want, is it worth going through the rest of this or just leave
I
it?
think what you need to do is sit down with the 2 of them.
Hey, I'd like
Okay.
to see some figures
on
pulling singles over to
Yeah.
Lebanon as well.
Wesley?
This is single.
Can I make a suggestion?
Sure.
Before anybody goes through all this stuff, when you get your numbers, you need to make sure you're comparing that. Whatever you get for number from Casella, you need to make sure that they have a 2-yard compactor, not a 4-yard compactor, not a 6-yard compactor. Because a 2-yard compactor is not gonna pack as much as a 4-yard compactor.
Right.
I have 20 years experience doing this stuff, Mike knows.
Actually, I do,
He knows what I'm talking about.
but I do have that many years.
Right, but
Oh, he
if you
does.
don't,
Oh.
if you don't have the same yard, same size compactor that's pushing the trash in the trailer.
Right.
You're not gonna get the same compaction rate. The numbers, the recycling numbers, I worked at the MRF for 6 years in White River. We had the same setup that you got with trailers. We had a 6-yard compactor. I was putting 30 ton of recycling in that trailer. You can go pull the numbers from it, they'll show them. You can get 30 tons of recycling in that trailer.
And how much is a 6-yard compact?
But if you're gonna do it, rather, I guess where I'm going, when we figure out what we're gonna do, we need to figure out, is it cheaper to buy a compactor or is it cheaper to buy a roll-off truck with boxes?
Do you know
You
what?
know, it's
It's
a,
hypothetical. Just relax.
it's a, you know, it's a wash. I mean, a roll-off truck, and I'm not saying that the roll-off truck ain't the way to go, by any means. All I'm saying is, you know, has anybody checked into how long Lebanon's gonna last?
Yes,
I've been hearing
yeah, we've checked.
2028, I've heard that another 30 years. You know, I'd hate to go buy a roll-off truck. And then 5 years down the road, Lebanon closes. What are you gonna, and Bethlehem's closed, so you're gonna go even further to Berlin. Makes sense to have a trailer go to Berlin. I mean, I just think that we need to do all the research if we're gonna do it.
I agree. What did you hear from Lebanon? You said you heard from Lebanon,
Yeah, but the length of the time?
Yeah.
It's 30 years.
30 years.
And it was in the paper Monday.
Oh, okay.
Well, back in 2005, they were gonna shut down in 5 years.
Yes,
That's
but they
right.
went back and got a permit to increase the height, and so it's gonna be higher than the stone pit. But
I
the-
heard
I'm
from
just saying,
JR,
if
you
you're
know,
gonna use a wide for it, you
All
need to
right,
get
with
a-
all due respect, JR, if you're listening, I apologize, but JR is not consulting with Lebanon about what the life of the landfill is. So
All right, it sounds like we got a lot to work with here, so thank you for that.
Yeah, thank you, guys.
Ellie?
What's that?
Do you know the next document you're gonna want?
no,
No, we're not.
yeah, I
We
will.
were talking earlier about training, how employees, all stuff like they are does now. And, so what I was curious about is that you do it regardless of whether we hire Casella or whoever to take the roll off.
Do you know your next document?
Does that require the
Which
same
is the
kind of
next one?
CDL license as the state, trailer that, they are paid?
No, just.
Because I was thinking that
No,
ought
they
to
don't be
be
seen
in,
here.
you know, studies to put a monetary value on that. One of the hard time finding people you have to like kind of PDL, because, parents right now getting what? If you thought around it when you do it. So you don't have other backup.
Can I give a quick response? to that?
So I think that you want to put that into your consideration. Instead of using the roll-off, you don't have to have the same requirement. That ought to be a thing, a factor in its favor, because you have less restrictions.
All right. Go ahead, Mike.
A quick response. First of all, we've gone through probably 30 variations on a theme already. And we'll do another 30 if people want us to, but you still got to haul the stuff. Okay? So as an example, we looked at doing away with the hauling requirement entirely out of the transfer station and hiring somebody on an hourly basis. The going rate on an hourly basis is $30 to $40 an hour. Okay. Meredith has a hauling company that hauls all of the materials, and it's $30. No, it's more than that. It's $40 an hour. There is New London has an in-house, but they pay a differential of $30 an hour while the truck is doing the CDLA hauling. So we looked at those. We've in the past used independent haulers. So we used a guy out of Rumney for a year. We used Conkey for a year. So we've used a variety of people to do hauling. It is not cheaper. It wasn't cheaper when Tim Lewis did it. It wasn't cheaper when Casella did it. It wasn't cheaper when Conkey did it. So we have tried that. So when people say, well, you haven't tried, yeah, we tried all those. Even the last 3 weeks, Dan, just give me a second, and hopefully you'll back me up on this. We spent several hours going through all the permutations we could do when JR was out to see what variations we could do. We've looked at hiring somebody from in-house, had a CDLA. We looked at hiring other people that had CDLAs, finding retired people with CDLAs. You got to have a CDL to do a trash box. It seems that the only ones that anybody's willing to do on an emergency basis are roll-offs. I don't know that for a fact. That's what I've been told. But the only answer I'll give you is we've looked at options on a total, at this point, on a total of 35 communities of what they're doing, and with using 5 different private vendors. So it isn't like we haven't done that. Okay, we have. So, and if you want to come in, Wes, I'll go through it with you and tell you.
I actually got a question. You said it's $90.50 per trip
Yeah,
on here. So we can, you said it took 4 hours to do turnaround time. So we can run a truck for $22 an hour?
I gotta see the paper. I already took it off the screen. Hang on. What do I got?
You are correct, Wesley.
All right, so the one that's $90 an hour, where are you?
90.50 over on the left.
On the left. So that's a roll-off truck,
Yeah.
okay? It's a 2-hour trip.
I said 4.
No, right over tandem roll-off is 4. Because it takes longer to put 2 boxes on the trailer, take it over, drop the 1 box off, drop the other.
Okay.
Okay,
So
so it's 4 hours for the tandem.
can I just ask this question?
Sure.
You just said we could hire for $40 an hour. That's
Okay.
$45 an hour.
So let me say it again. $40 an hour is the going rate for Meredith to go out and hire. They used to use Dan Clark, but they use another one now. That's how much they're paying an hour for the driver to take their truck and their trailer and bring it someplace. And New London is paying $30 an hour to have their driver take the truck and trailer that's their truck and trailer and go
So the
someplace.
driver's making $30.
Yes, that's correct.
Okay, that's not how I took what you were saying.
I understand. That's why I want you to ask the questions. And, we'll use a big room if everybody wants to come in and do it in the room together. But the numbers are all based on fact. And yeah, we did base a lot of this on the facts that you can't, well, actually, you can see it. At the bottom of the screen, is this on? Okay. At the bottom of the screen, and I don't want to get into it tonight, you'll see sheet 1. Well, there's a whole bunch of things. There's sheets all over the place down here at the bottom. There's Northeast Resource Recovery 2014 Eco Maine. Sheets 2 and 3 are using Motzkin Brothers, using Conkey. Those are in there, using Casella. using Casella with a tandem, using Tim Lewis with a tandem. Then Lebanon, NRA 2020, and then what we're doing, doing Casella is the next one over, based on the current Casella, and then what we were doing in 2020, and then we got one for 2021. So we use the data from all of those people to derive the spreadsheets we got. Actual data, actual pull weights of roll-offs going out of our facility with a guy standing in it and packing those things loose. And also when it went out on a compacted basis. So we did use real numbers.
I just don't know how you can go, I don't know how you can run a truck for $45 an hour. It doesn't, I understand you've got a calculation, but that just doesn't make sense to me.
Well, that's what it costs. I mean, sorry.
I just don't.
It doesn't include the repairs. Okay,
So you're not giving actual numbers then, if it's not including repairs, it's not including tires, it's not including all this stuff, you're not getting an actual number.
if you want, I
Because-
can,
Hold on, let me finish.
Yep.
Because when you get a hired rate from Casella, that stuff's all included in their rate. You're not including that stuff in our rate. What would happen to that rate if you included the repairs and all the stuff that should be included in that? How close is it gonna be then? Because you gotta pay for the repairs.
so only $25 an hour, $25 a pull. I'll look, I'll have to go through and tell you specifically, okay? But just for the sake of argument. Not this year or last year, but back in 2014, I believe it was. I asked Tower for the lowest rate he could give me for a tandem pull. What do you think he gave me?
Well, I'm sure it was astronomical. It's probably $100 and something an hour. I'm not gonna sit here and say that it ain't. All I'm saying is that stuff should be all included in here. So everybody knows what the true cost of the thing is. Right now, you're not getting the true cost.
I'm happy to put in the repair cost. It's gonna be roughly, you know what the costs are for repair and roll-offs, I assume you do. You know that the wheels are gonna be repaired on a regular basis.
I'm talking the truck maintenance. I'm
Me
talking
too.
All of it.
Me too. So the point I'm trying to make is, I think it would cost us $7 grand, $7 to $10 grand a year for the maintenance on a truck and 2 trailers. Okay,
That's fine.
all right, so I can factor that in. I know that I got 200 tandem pulls, single pulls, and I got 20 roll-off pulls, or I've got 100, whatever the number of pulls is, I've lost track. I don't know, I'd have to look it up, but I know I got roughly, if it was a single roll-off pull, it's 200 pulls plus another 20 pulls on the live floor for the recycling, divided into $7,500, and that's where I got the number, which is about $30 a pull. But I'm happy to plug that in. There are other things I didn't plug in because they're neutral. That doesn't make any difference whether it's on a roll-off or, so for instance, the Casella rate for the material, it's about the material and the rate. It has nothing to do with how it's transported. But it does make a difference if the net rate in South Portland is $74 a ton, less expensive than the rate over at Casella's.
I'm not disagreeing.
I know, so that's how I did it. I didn't plug that number in specifically. It's in the sheet, it's down the bottom, and it just says this is what the differential is for revenue. These are ridiculously sophisticated sheets for something that has a total budget number that's not very big. And it clearly is a hot button issue for half the world. I got that. Except that no matter, I just plugged in numbers that were equal. And it still is cheap. So I'm just pointing out that it is not going to save us. And I told Bob this, but I'm happy. You all want to show up, we'll do it in this room, okay? And go through it for 2 hours or 3 hours, whatever it takes, and plug in numbers. The advantage of doing this in a spreadsheet as opposed to a PDF is that every time you got an assumption, like I can spend in 5 minutes, I can plug in the number for repairs. You can see what it looks like. All I'm saying is I've done this now. God knows. I mean, this is like the 8th time I've gone through it.
I understand that, but if you go to like the green booklet that if you don't plug in the repair costs, you're not getting a true cost of what it costs to run. They're saying you made so much money on recycling. Well, if you put the repair cost in there, it's gonna drop it by $7,500, like you just said, if you do it like it should be done.
Yeah, but I don't think it makes any difference because it's 75 for either the roll-offs or the live. fluid.
I'm not talking about the roll-offs, I'm talking just in general.
Okay,
So like, the public can see what the true cost to run the transfer. station.
before I ever show this again, which probably isn't a month, what I'll do is I'll plug in the repair costs. Okay, that's easy.
So where are the repair costs? Are they in the mechanic line?
No, they're in the budget. Look in this year's budget, you're gonna see repairs, $7,500 or 7,000.
Why would the transfer station go?
What's that?
Why would the transfer station go?
Because it's such a hot button issue that I pulled it out of highway, pulled it out of mechanic, and I put it into just the transfer station. So nobody can say, well, you're getting supported by this or supported by that.
All right. So,
When I put up the substation, in the top floor, I paid $137. You get the
Yes.
so the tonnage and stuff, that would be like big section, because that's the place you have to start, so you get your tonnage.
That tonnage was accurate for last year.
That the same as another one, and do you think that that's what it's gonna be for the next couple of years?
Unlike schools, that number has been pretty damn consistent for the last 4 years.
Okay,
On recycling, it's varied 10 tons.
okay.
And under trash, it's varied 25 tons.
So even with COVID, they haven't changed that much?
No,
Okay.
and you got the whole range of town reports. Just go through every year and take a look.
Hey, Scott,
yeah,
what else is on the agenda?
we're gonna go into non-public.
We gotta do
All
that.
right, because I'm gonna get
Yeah, we're
back
gonna
on the
move
road
on.
here in a minute.
All right. So when you get back, Dan.
Yeah.
You and Mike and Bob sit down and go over when you get a chance.
Okay, that works for me. Yep, I appreciate you guys having me on board for tonight. Thank you.
All right, so any other business before we go into non-public? All right, thank you all. Oh, go ahead.
Quick question.
Sure.
You guys gonna review this?
Yes.
In non-public?
Non-public, yeah.
Can I ask a question on that? It's not gonna relate to the current thing.
Sure.
But on the back of this sheet, it had deputy warden versus warden. Does that mean the fire chief is not gonna be the warden in town anymore? And somebody else is gonna be the warden?
No,
No, as far as I know,
So
chief is warden.
how it's written there is it has the deputy warden, which are two separate.
yes and no. The standards are very similar in terms of what was required. And that's the one that's used in the other fire departments that we used as models. They use the deputy warden.
So this is a deputy warden.
Cindy, did you want?
But the warden is above that, which normally is
Okay,
the
thanks.
fire chief. So I
Thank
want
you.
to make sure you guys think it.
We can put both in. I don't care. I'm just saying that the other towns that have done this, we didn't write this.
The fire chief isn't the deputy warden in most towns unless it's somebody that's not on the fire department. That's why I'm asking the question.
Okay, I didn't put it in. That happened to come out of Hudson.
Still moving.
So whatever way anybody wants is okay with me. The fact is, it's the fire chief, which is really the emergency management chief, is going to have to be able to serve as a warden, deputy warden, whatever. That's really what it's about. But if, I relied on Bellion and Hennessy in order to put this together. And so,
Because you guys appoint both specific positions and they both have vastly different responsibilities. So, just to bring that up as a second.
All right, thanks for pointing that out.
Please make
All right.
sure you didn't sign in to the meeting, that you do sign into the meeting before you go. Thank you.
I have a quick question for you, Scott. It's probably more for Sharon. So